I cooked 4 more of Don't Starve's crockpot foods in real life. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how I made them and what they tasted like. Before we get fully into this video, however, let's talk about the rules. Much like my previous Don't Starve crockpot foods in real life video, we are going to have to follow some rules. Rule number 1 is we must only use 4 main ingredients. Seasonings and sweeteners do not count towards this rule. Rule number 2 is we must use required ingredients. If you need the ingredient to make the recipe in-game, you are going to need it in real life. Alright, let's get into our first recipe. Using ice, tomato, carrot, and celery, we would make vegetable stinger. The prep was as easy as you would expect. Crush up some ice, cut up a carrot, cut up a tomato, and blend it all together. If you're curious where the celery goes, well, that, my friend, is the garnish. This was the final product, and thankfully, it looks pretty accurate to its in-game form. Time for our second recipe. Using mussels, tomato, sweet potato, and bell pepper, we would make mussel bouillabaisse. This was by far the most complex but fun to make dish. First, I parboiled the sweet potato, then in a Dutch oven, I combined all 4 ingredients, added some water, and a seasoning mix of turmeric, salt, and pepper to keep things as basic as possible. And at the end of that, we were left with this beautiful bowl of mussel bouillabaisse. Now, unfortunately, my version is far less soupy than its in-game form, but hey, I think it's close enough. As a side note, I know the in-game recipe calls for 2 servings of mussel, which theoretically means I should have been limited to 2 extras in the soup, but I ignored this mostly because I had a lot of leftover ingredients that I wanted to put to use here. Now, our third recipe. Before I start this recipe, please note that this one does include raw eggs. The USDA advises people not to eat raw, unpasteurized eggs. Please do not copy this recipe, as it could be potentially very hazardous to your health. Salmonella is very serious. That being said, using an egg, 2 servings of mixed berries to mimic glowberries, and honey, we would make glowberry mousse. So first, I separated egg whites into a bowl. I used more than 1 egg here, but I mostly did this because I wanted to make a snack for later. Salt-cured egg yolks are seriously delicious, so those will be going in the fridge for later. Next, I began whipping the egg whites. While whipping, I added 2 servings of pureed berries, honey, and a small bit of blue food dye to try to get it close to its in-game form. Eventually, we were left with this. And yes, it looks wildly different from its in-game form, but with the ingredient limits, this was the best we were going to get. Time for our final and most iconic recipe. Using meat, carrots, sweet potatoes, and mixed berries, we would make meatballs. Probably the most memorable and classic dish in the entire game. The prep was kinda gross, so if you are eating while watching this, I'm going to warn you to look away if you are squeamish when it comes to mushy stuff. Basically, I just mashed all 4 ingredients together to form a large ball of meat and other ingredients. I did this 3 times and then popped them in the oven at 400 for around 25 minutes. The end result was this. And I mean, come on. Minus the carrots, this is almost spot on to its in-game model. I really think I did a good job here. Now it's time for the part you were probably waiting for. The taste test. Luckily, I'm not alone for this. Sky generously agreed to try my dishes with me to give us an extra rating. Also, if you made it this far into the video, it would be super cool if you would hit that like button and subscribe if you aren't. This video took a lot of planning, cooking, and spending to make, so any form of support is absolutely appreciated. Alright, now let's get to the tasting. First up on the rating block was vegetable stinger. We stuck our turtle-friendly glass straws in and took a sip. And oh my goodness, this was awful. It ended up chalky and extremely vegetal. I even basically dumped sugar into it before blending to give it a fighting chance, and it did absolutely nothing. Now, I wouldn't say it's worse than leafy meatloaf, but out of 10, I would say it's a slightly edible 2 out of 10. Here's what Sky had to say about it.
The vegetable stinger I didn't really like too much just because I'm not a vegetable juice person. So I didn't really have a big like towards it. Plus, the texture of it was like really like chunky, so I didn't like that. So out of 10, I would give it probably a 3 out of 10.
Next up was Mussel Bouillabaisse. I was super excited to try this dish. I absolutely love seafood, so there was almost no way this could go bad. We both took our first bites, and yes, that was absolutely delicious. The mussels absorbed a lot of the vegetable broth, the vegetables softened and cooked beautifully. This was a highly pleasant dish that I would make again, probably with a few more ingredients. Regardless, that was a 10 out of 10 for me, and here's what Sky had to say about it.
The mussel soup I really liked because, I already like mussels anyways, and the vegetables with the tomato and sweet potato really complemented the mussels. The only thing I didn't like was how soggy the vegetables were, but still, it was still really good. Out of 10, I'd give it 8 out of 10.
Dish number 3 was one that I was honestly dreading, glowberry mousse. Now, in-game you don't need eggs to make it, but real-life mousse is made with raw egg whites, so we decided on that. Sky very generously let me go first. I took a scoop and ate it. And honestly, it was surprisingly good. The berries and honey basically took over the flavor. The only thing that was weird was the fact that we were basically eating egg whites. Regardless, it was decent. I gave it a 6 out of 10. This is what Sky had to say about it.
Glowberry mousse, I definitely actually liked. The only thing I didn't like was the idea that it was raw egg, but without the thought of that, I would give the glowberry mousse at least an 8 out of 10. It was really good.
Our final dish that we would be trying today, and a fan favorite, was meatballs. Now, come on. These look absolutely delicious. Meat, vegetables, and fruit combined into a convenient ball form? Yes, please. As you probably expected, these were delicious. And we actually ended up eating most of them before I even remembered we were recording. I would certainly give these a 10 out of 10. They were perfection. Here's what Sky had to say about them.
The meatballs were definitely my favorite for sure. I loved the way the vegetables and the berries kind of mixed with the meat. It was really good. The only thing I didn't like was kind of how hard the carrots were. But overall, I really liked it. I'd give it a 10 out of 10, honestly.
Alright, so let's first get all these out of the way.
Oh, whoops. Oh, that would not bring me my insanity.
That brings me
Oh.
joy. I have to slunch down so I can get in the camera. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to look like in-game. That's just impossible. Try to do that with 4 ingredients, I dare you. There's no way. There's just no way.
I dare you.
There's just no way.
Someone's gonna end up doing it.
Alright, if somebody does it, then okay, cool. They're cool. I'm not. But I'm not doing that because there's no.
They're all stacked up.
This is like in-game. It looks exactly like it. Hold on. Future me, put a picture right over my face. Look at this. It's so similar. I hope you all enjoyed that super fun video. I plan to keep this series going until I have made every crockpot food in the game. Well, the reasonable ones, that is. I really enjoy making this series because it truly does feel like something unique to my channel. And if you want to see more of this series, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you will get notified when I do release the next edition. This has been Polarlotus, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.